My name is Kathy Baumgartner-Hetrick, and Steve Philippi and I undertook a very large project this year of the 250th anniversary of Palmyra. We have decided to do some oral histories of people who have lived in Palmyra. Most of them are over the age of 80 or 85, and we asked them to tell us their story about Palmyra so that we could put together a DVD that you're going to watch now that has the stories of Palmyra based on the people who have lived here. We hope you enjoy it. We've had a fun time doing it, and we think you'll learn a lot about Palmyra and the history of Palmyra through the stories of Palmyra. And you are?
Fred Schneider, born 118 North Grand Street, June 13th, 1930. My grandfather worked for shoe companies as a salesman or a machine salesman, but anyway, he ended up in Palmyra and ended up in the printing business over in the Griner building or Valley Trust building in the basement. And then from what I understand, that they went from the basement to the back of the building. Do you remember when there was, when Weldon Manning had his barber shop back there? All right, you know the Valley Trust building, the parking lot.
Right.
At the end of the parking lot, between there and the alley,
Okay.
there was this two-story building.
Okay, I do remember a building there, you're right.
And at some point, Bundles was in there, Manning was in the back. Anyhow, I understand they were in there. And then about 18, 19, 20 or something like that, they bought and moved down to the business on East Front Street.
East Front, which is, we're down toward the railroad.
Between Railroad and Chestnut.
Okay.
That big three-story building that's rotting to old whatever now. Anyhow, that had been A.S. Kreider Shoe Factory.
Okay, and A.S. Kreider was like the first shoe factory in Palmyra, I think?
No, W.L. Kreider was in there. And then W.L. Kreider moved over to Harrison and Arch. And I think the first 5 years they had to make Hoser or something. They had a deal where they sold that building to A.S. Kreider, and they couldn't make shoes, but then they started making shoes. So then A.S. Kreider, in that period of 1919, 20 or 21 or whatever, built that brick building right south of Front Street.
Okay.
So anyway, then we were down there from 1921 or something like that. My father, I guess he had finished college by then. I guess he got through in a couple of years or so. And then we had that business until 1980. My dad had died at the holidays in 1962 in a fire, and I managed it, and we had the business until 1980 at which time we sold it.
A lot of people who we've talked with through the year in terms of the 250th anniversary have fond memories of, you know, this main street and what was in the, you talked about the Griner building, were all the different businesses in there. And Ferries comes up all the time. Ferries and Lee's and Lurch's.
Of course, Lee's was over at the corner.
Right, the other corner.
Well, they were in the Yaffe building.
Right. And McGee's was in there.
Huh?
Remember McGee's?
Yeah, well, my dad had that drugstore before McGee's.
Oh, really? Oh, well, tell us that story. I didn't realize that.
It was during the war. I know that because I used to help out there, and cigarettes were hard to come by. Cigarettes would come in every Thursday, I think Thursday afternoon, and by Thursday night or Friday morning, all they had left were wings and God knows what else. But I saw that some of my friends always got to what they wanted. And I would have only been 13, 14,
yeah, right.
15 at the time.
Right. What changes did you see in your lifetime in Palmyra? I mean, you were born here, you were here your whole life. You went through the school system. You worked for some of your father's businesses. What changes do you see that took place in your lifetime?
I think the one thing, or one of the things is, you know, you knew everybody. And the one reason you knew everybody is because you shopped, you lived, and you worked in town, or you spent time in town. But you sat in the front porch.
It's true.
And so if you took a walk, you'd talk to everybody, you'd know everybody, if, not necessarily on the street where you lived. And you'd have the milk delivered every morning or every other morning. Bread truck would come around every other morning or something as such.
Mr. Baldwin would bring his meats in his meat truck.
That's true, and Brant's would bring their vegetable truck and or fish truck. And old Mr. Funk from out towards Belgrove would come in with his horse and buggy and deliver sell fresh vegetables during the summer.
That's right, I remember that now that you say that.
And you know, it was a whole different life.
Mm-hmm. Well,
then you had the Central Restaurant.
Now where was the Central Restaurant?
Up here where Pastimes is. Right at the square. Jakey Hare's old place.
Oh, okay. And
that was the Central Restaurant.
Central Restaurant, okay.
Right,
No,
right.
I never heard that the term.
Oh yeah,
Central
that was
Restaurant.
big back before, during, and right after the war. I know in high school, when we got old enough, where we come in after we got out of high school and play the jukebox and drink 7-Up or whatever.
Well, listen, thank you. It's been wonderful
You're welcome.
to get to meet you. Like I said, I've heard of your family, and many people mentioned the tragedy of your father. You tell me, I don't remember. But thank you very much.